Hello and welcome to Around the Clock. I'm your host, Yolanda Greaves. We are welcoming back Michael Herbert, Ashland Town Manager. Michael, welcome back to Around the Clock.
Yolanda, thanks for having me once again.
We are here to talk about the warrant for the special town meeting coming up on November 16th. Somewhat light lifting, but I think some important things that are in the articles that we're going to be addressing.
Yeah, it's like you said, a little bit lighter, a little fewer articles than what we've had previously. Doesn't mean that they're any less important. So
Right.
I would encourage all registered voters to attend and participate in town meeting. That's your legislative body. As Yolanda, you said it's going to be November 16th at 7 p.m. at Ashland High School.
Great. So let's get started. What's the first article?
All right, first article is a transfer of free cash, which is something that we typically do every town meeting that we have in the fall. You know, after we get our free cash certified, we go and appropriate it according to our financial policies. And so our financial policies direct funding towards our general stabilization fund. It also directs funding towards our OPEB trust fund, and then also capital and one-time expenses.
Step back 1 second, and I know people who have been to a lot of town meetings, what exactly is free cash? Because we know it's not free and we know it's not cash.
It's not free, it's not cash. So free cash is essentially the balance at the end of the year after you net out your expenses and your revenue.
Okay, so we had our budget for fiscal year 2022 that closed out at the end of June, and this is money that was left over from that budget that we're now going to put toward new other things.
Correct. So It's a combination of turnbacks from departmental expenses, and then also if we received additional revenue over and above what we were anticipating.
Okay, good. So what's our plan for the free cash and how much do we have this year?
All right, so this year we have a total of $2,107,000 in free cash, which will be appropriated as follows. General Stabilization Fund, we will put that. We'll put $80,000 into that. That's important. We try to keep that balance at 10% of our operating budget. That's important for our bond rating.
And will that get us back up to 10% because we were close?
That will get us over 10%.
Great, okay.
We have $533,000 being appropriated to the OPEB trust fund. OPEB is essentially retiree health insurance. So this is according to our policies as well. We will have $806,000 going to deferred projects from capital projects, I should say, from our May town meeting.
Okay.
And then this year we have 3 additional one-time expenses that we will be appropriating free cash to. So the first one is the Valentine Barn Restoration Project. So we're planning on appropriating $188,000 to that project. We plan on combining that with the $750,000 in American Rescue Plan Act funds that we received, and then also $125,000 in CPA funds to do a full renovation of the barn.
Everything that people have been wanting, we're finally going to be able to get that done at the barn.
Yes, we will have a nice revitalized barn. It'll be the shell of a barn, but it'll be a blank slate for us to work from.
Great.
Next, we have $250,000 being appropriated to the Mendez School Building Project. The school department felt like it was incumbent upon them last year that they would need to contribute more money from their budget as opposed to asking the taxpayers for more to take care of some cost overruns associated with that. So what the school department did was let $250,000 go to free cash with the understanding that it would be appropriated in the fall.
So they basically spent $250,000 less of their budget, and now it's going back to help pay for the Mendez project.
Correct, and that was all timing.
Yeah.
And then finally, we have $250,000 to be appropriated for a comprehensive plan. So comprehensive plan is very, very important for communities. It essentially is a roadmap for the town, a vision for the future, for the next 10 to 20 years, and a roadmap on how to get there. And it encompasses everything from natural resources to transportation to housing. We will also be adding some new components this year, including sustainability and diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Great.
So again, the last time we had a fully completed plan was 2003. We've had a couple of efforts since then to try to accomplish one, but part of the reason we haven't been able to do that is we haven't had the resources like this.
Right. The resources and the time, and then we got hit with COVID. So
Exactly.
great.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's Article 1.
Okay.
Article 2 are property tax exemptions. So this is our senior property tax exemption under Mass General Law 41C and a half, if you want to look that up. What we try to do is we try to come up with a percentage exemption that translates to about $800 to $850 for our elderly residents that qualify for this program.
Okay, and they can go to the website and find out what those qualifications are and what they need to do to apply for it.
Absolutely,
Great.
through the assessor's office.
Okay.
Article 3 is amending our bylaws to revise our demo delay bylaw. So this was something that came up at our previous town meeting that we discussed. Helen Nicole, as a citizen who's now part of the Historical Commission, and the Historical Commission at the time, put this forward. They got some good feedback at town meeting. They've done a great job of trying to incorporate some of that feedback and get different viewpoints and inputs into it. And so that is the bylaw change that you will see before you at town meeting. Just to cover a few things, it changes the date from a static date that a building could be considered historic, from a static date of 1940 to a dynamic date that just is 70 years or more old. So as the years go on, that number changes as well.
And it's 70 years or older.
Correct.
Right, so as you said, it used to just be 1940, but now that it's 70 years back from whatever year it's being looked at.
Exactly.
Very good.
Exactly. And it does look at extending the demo delay period from 9 months to 12 months. Mm-hmm. So again, very, very important. And I think this one has evolved organically, and people, again, have had input in it. So
Yeah, I think there's been some really good discussion before getting to town meeting on this, after what happened at the spring town meeting, as you said, with almost two competing versions and not clarity. I think this is very clear. I think a lot of people have had the opportunity to have feedback for this. So I think they've sort of come to a nice middle ground.
Right. So kudos to the Historical Commission, specifically Helen, and the work that she's done on that.
That's where it's great to see citizens see something they want fixed and actually go after it and try to fix it. And That's what has to happen.
Absolutely.
Great.
So moving on to Article 4, that's acceptance of a piece of property near Cadillac Paint. So this is a donation of land from Bob Schiavi to the town for free. And again, it abuts Cadillac Paint, which is something that we're moving forward on, the creation of a park.
It was great to have that happen. I know Ed Hart, who's been working very hard on Cadillac Paint, helped to get that donation given to the town. So I think that's a great. It's going to be great for the town and for especially that neighborhood to have Cadillac Paint done and to know that little piece of property will be part of it.
Absolutely. And Ed's the one who made this happen for sure. So thank you, Ed. So Article 5 is adopting a provision from the BRAVE Act. So the BRAVE Act is an exemption, property tax exemption for veterans that qualify. And previously, if a house was in a trust, it wouldn't qualify for this exemption. Okay. So what Article 5 does is it removes that restriction. So if a house is in a trust, it would qualify for the BRAVE Act.
I think that happens a lot of times for veterans, that homes get put in trusts. So,
so
good that we can do that for them.
Yeah, you see that more and more with estate planning and everything.
Yeah.
So Article 6 is being put forward by the Community Preservation Committee, and that's to fund improvements to the middle school ball fields. Okay. So they're looking to appropriate $185,000 to do replace scoreboards, do dugouts, do some improvements for softball, baseball, various sports.
As always, our fields need to be maintained, and CPC funds are a perfect way to do that.
That's one of the reasons they're there.
There we go. Good.
And then last is probably the one that's going to generate some discussion. Or maybe it doesn't generate discussion at all because people will just be ready to vote for it. But it's a temporary moratorium on multifamily developments.
Right.
So that encompasses, a multifamily is defined as being 3 units or more on a single lot. So it includes apartment buildings. It also includes condo developments as well. And so what this does is it would prohibit issuing building permits for a multifamily development for 2 years.
Okay. As of the town meeting vote, should it pass?
Correct.
Okay.
Actually, I got to correct that. It extends it until December 31st of 2024. So
Okay.
a little bit beyond.
A little bit beyond town
2
meeting.
years.
Okay.
So, and this is really important and coincides with the comprehensive plan. You know, as we are taking this break from multifamily developments, it allows us time to plan for the impacts that our current ones have, and then also, you know, if we want to move forward with future ones, plan for those impacts as well. So there's a lot of discussion about apartments. You know, you can talk to anybody in town and they probably have an opinion on it. But I think if you just look at it objectively and from facts, so Ashland had 6,500 housing units in 2010. It grew to 7,500 housing units approximately in 2020. So we've gone back and looked, 802 of those units were multifamily developments.
Multifamily being, so we know almost 400 of the Cirrus apartments.
Correct.
And then a couple of other small apartment buildings,
Right.
multi-use. Bagel Tables Project, 128 Main Street, over on 126. Any condo as part of that? Any condos?
Yes, so I believe there's
Avenue
about
of the Americas?
175 units
Oh, okay.
from Avenue of the Americas, and also the Lanterns off of Chestnut Street,
Oh, right.
which is 93 units. That's, even though they're detached, they look like detached single-family homes, they're actually part of a condominium association,
And it's all on one lot.
all on one
So that
lot.
makes, okay. So I know at the select board meeting, it was brought up, well, maybe we don't want to just do all multifamily because that means anything 3 units or higher. And there was some discussion and debate brought about by a developer. You know, can we make it 20 units or 25 units or 10 units or 12 units? So it was discussed that maybe we want to bring that forward at town meeting. How would that, so that people are aware, how might that get brought forward at town meeting?
So with regards to this one, really the only way it can be changed now is on town meeting floor.
Right.
So an amended motion would have to be made and then seconded and
Right.
voted upon.
Okay, good. Other than town meeting, I mean, your hands are still very full with
Yeah,
lots of projects and.
yeah. Remind me for the next chapter to not necessarily, you know, start all these projects.
Well, I know when I talk to different people, they're like, wow, you have a lot going on in Ashland.
Yeah, and you know, we really have to be careful about this moving forward because you don't want to get to a situation where you're doing so many things, you can't do any of them well. That leads to mistakes, that leads to frustration amongst residents,
Right.
elected officials, and our employees.
So those things are moving forward pretty well in all of our, I mean, little things here and there, but I think, I mean, certainly, you know, there's been comments about public safety with the doors. People are complaining about Route 126, but everything's moving forward.
Right. And good things, I think.
Right.
You know, downtown's moving forward, 126, Mendez School, Valentine property. We have some more programmatic initiatives that are moving forward, like the DEI task force. MWRA connection, Warren District, so all of these things. But, you know, it's certainly something the community can be proud of.
Right.
So,
Good.
and there is misinformation out there.
Always.
Don't believe everything you read on social media. Anybody can say anything. And so I think, you know, one of the things we have to do a better job of collectively is actually putting the correct information out there. People can have opinions, but, you know, facts are usually not debatable.
Right. Good. Well, Michael, thank you for coming and taking us through the special meeting town warrant. Hopefully we'll see you at the special town meeting on Wednesday, November 16th, starting at 7 p.m. If you have a senior who wants to go, check with your neighbors and maybe help them get there. And there will be childcare, did I hear correctly?
Yes, childcare will be available. We'll give more details on that, but
Okay.
we're offering that through Kelly Run in our recreation program.
Great, great. So they can bring their kids, the kids will have stuff to do, and they can come sit in at town meeting.
Yes.
Great. Well, Michael, thank you very much.
Thank you.
As always, it's a pleasure to get updates and hear what's going on.
Likewise.
Great. And that wraps up this segment with Michael Herbert, our town manager here in Ashland.